10 years ago, the world was gold and silver for Clara. She was a brilliant young law student, and she was in love with Ethan, a rising star in the city's political circles. They had nothing but their dreams, or so Clara thought. She worked 3 jobs to pay for Ethan's campaign, believing they were building a future together. On the night of their 3rd anniversary, under a heavy New York rain, Ethan didn't bring a ring. He brought a goodbye. "I can't do this anymore, Clara," Ethan said, his eyes cold, already looking past her at the skyscraper where his new life waited. "I've met someone who can actually help me get where I'm going. Love doesn't win elections. Power does." The someone was the daughter of the city's wealthiest developer. Ethan didn't just leave Clara. He destroyed her. He used his connections to get her expelled from her university, claiming she had cheated on her exams just to make sure she wouldn't be a distraction to his new perfect image. He left her in the rain with no degree, no money, and a shattered heart. "You're just a girl from the suburbs, Clara," he had sneered as his black car pulled away. "You were a stepping stone. Don't forget your place." Clara stood in the rain, feeling the glass in her heart shatter. But as the pieces fell, they turned into diamonds, hard, sharp, and unbreakable. Clara didn't cry for long. She disappeared. She moved across the ocean, changed her name to Claire Thorne, and spent a decade building a shadow empire. She didn't become a lawyer. She became something much more dangerous, a fixer. She was the woman who handled the world's most complicated corporate acquisitions and political scandals. She became the CEO of Thorne Global, a private equity firm that specialized in hostile takeovers. She was known as the Iron Queen. She never married. She never fell in love. Her only passion was the slow, methodical collection of Ethan's debts. Ethan, meanwhile, had achieved everything. He was now a senator, poised to run for governor. His father-in-law's construction empire, Vanguard Group, was the backbone of his power. But Vanguard was rotting from the inside. They had taken too many risks, and they needed a massive bailout to survive the upcoming election cycle. Ethan didn't know that the anonymous investor who had been buying up Vanguard's debt for 5 years was Clara. He didn't know that every bank that refused him a loan was doing so on her orders. The trap was set for the night of Ethan's 10th wedding anniversary gala, the gala of the century. It was meant to be the launch of his governor campaign. Every camera in the country was there. Clara arrived late. She was wearing a dress made of dark silk that looked like liquid midnight. She walked into the ballroom, and the air seemed to freeze. She was no longer the girl in the rain. She was the storm itself. Ethan saw her from across the room. He didn't recognize her at first, but when she smiled, the ghost of the girl he had destroyed flickered in his mind. He walked over, his heart racing. "Ms. Thorne," Ethan said, trying to be charming, though his hands were shaking. "I've heard so much about your firm. We were hoping to discuss the Vanguard acquisition." "Oh, the acquisition is already finished, Senator," Clara said, her voice like velvet wrapped around a blade. "I own 51% of your father-in-law's company. As of 10 minutes ago, I am the chair of the board." Ethan's face turned pale. I see. Well, then we are partners. This is a cause for celebration." "Partners?" Clara laughed, and the sound was the coldest thing Ethan had ever heard. "You haven't changed, Ethan. You still think you can use people like stepping stones." She stepped closer, her eyes boring into his. "Do you remember the rain, Ethan? 10 years ago? You told me to remember my place. Well, this is my place, above you." Clara didn't just take his company. She had prepared a gift for the gala. As Ethan stood on the stage to announce his candidacy, the giant screens behind him didn't show his campaign video. Instead, they showed a series of leaked documents. They showed how Ethan had used Vanguard's funds to pay off scandals. They showed the evidence of how he had framed a young law student 10 years ago to protect his career. And most devastatingly, they showed his private messages to his mistress, mocking his own wife and her father. The ballroom erupted in chaos. Ethan's wife walked off the stage. His father-in-law collapsed. The police, who Clara had tipped off hours before, were already waiting at the exits. Ethan stood alone under the spotlights, his empire turning to ash in front of millions of viewers. He looked down and saw Clara standing at the back of the room. She wasn't holding a glass of champagne. She was holding the old, rain-soaked umbrella she had kept for 10 years. She didn't stay to watch him be handcuffed. She walked out of the gala into the cool night air. For the first time in a decade, the glass in her heart didn't hurt. It was gone. A month later, Clara sold Vanguard Group for a symbolic $1 to a charity that provided scholarships for underprivileged law students. She closed Thorn Global and bought a small cottage by the sea. One afternoon, a letter arrived. It was from Ethan, written from a prison cell, begging for forgiveness, claiming he still loved her. Clara didn't even open it. She used the letter to light the fire in her hearth. As she watched the paper turn to ash, she realized that love didn't win elections, and power didn't build futures. Only the truth could set you free. The heart was hers, the life was hers, and the rain, it was finally over.